All right, so you want to get savvy about those real estate deals, huh?
Yeah, who doesn't?
It's a big world out there. Lots of ways to go about it.
Oh, for sure.
And that's kind of what today's deep dive is all about, right?
Mhm.
We've got this source material. It's called RE14 Deals, How to Find Them Top 50.
Catchy title.
It is, but here's the thing. It's just a list. Like bam, 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 50 tactics. Doesn't really tell you how to do them.
Right, more like a starting point. Ideas to spark your thinking.
Exactly. So our mission today is to make it actionable. We're not going to memorize all 50.
No way.
But what we can do is figure out, like, what kinds of approaches are out there.
Find a few that click for you, your situation.
Right. Because everyone's different, their goals, their comfort level.
Totally. Some folks love tech, others it's all about hitting the pavement.
Speaking of which, our source material, it doesn't really categorize these tactics. But we've done a little pre-work here.
Always got to organize a bit, right?
For sure. So we're calling the first bunch the public-facing hunt. These are the deals you can find kind of out in the open.
The ones that, anyone could theoretically stumble upon.
Right. So obvious starting point, MLS listings. Multiple listing service.
Real estate agent territory, but there's ways for us regular folks to get access to.
And then there's those websites. Everyone knows them. Zillow, Realtor.com. I can spend hours on those.
Oh, yeah, me too. Down the rabbit hole we go.
Filters galore. Price, location, bedrooms. For data nerds like me, it's heaven.
Definitely plays to your strengths, huh? That data analysis side.
Big time. But it's not the whole picture, is it? Not every property's online.
True enough. Our source material mentions driving for dollars. Sounds kind of old school.
Doesn't it? Like I picture someone in a trench coat with a magnifying glass.
It's kind of like that. Literally driving around neighborhoods looking for properties that look distressed.
Distress. What does that even mean? Like falling apart distressed.
Could be, but it can be subtler. Peeling paint, overgrown yard, that kind of thing.
So like signs the owner's not keeping up, maybe wants to sell?
Could be motivated, yeah. Maybe they've got financial trouble. Who knows?
You're like a real estate detective.
In a way, yeah. Spotting those clues.
Now, one thing on this list, I gotta be honest, kind of makes me cringe. Bandit signs.
Yeah. Those little signs you see stuck on telephone poles everywhere.
They always seem kind of tacky.
I get it. Can be an eyesore. And not legal everywhere. Got to be careful with that.
But they do work sometimes, right?
It can. Depends on the niche, on how you do it.
Like if you're aiming for a very specific type of seller.
Right. Say someone who inherited a house, no idea what to do with it. They might not be on Zillow, but they'll see that sign in their neighborhood.
Makes sense. So it's all about targeting, like any marketing, really.
Absolutely. Right message, right place, right time. And of course, staying legal.
Right, because a fine wipes out any profit from your deal real quick.
No kidding. Better safe than sorry. Always.
Okay, so we've covered some public-facing ways to find deals. But I have a feeling there's more to this story.
Oh, definitely. There's a whole other world of opportunities out there, ones that aren't so obvious.
Intriguing. Let's dig into those then, shall we?
Let's do it. Time to tap into some networks.
All right, lead the way. Okay, so networks. Sounds kind of mysterious, like we need a secret handshake or something.
Well, not quite that secretive. But it is about connections, for sure.
Right. Because when you think about it, real estate, it's a people business.
Absolutely. First network to tap into is the one you already have. Friends, family, colleagues.
You never know, right? Someone's aunt might be downsizing or a coworker inherited a place.
Exactly. Word of mouth is powerful. But let's go beyond that inner circle. What about professionals?
Like real estate agents. Seems obvious, our source material mentions them.
It is obvious, but there's a nuance here. Not just ANY agent. You want one who's investor savvy.
Oh, okay. So they get it. They speak our language.
Right. They know what you're looking for, the kind of deals that make sense.
And they probably have a network of their own, right? Sellers they know, off-market stuff.
Exactly. That's the gold. Stuff that hasn't hit the MLS yet.
Now, something else on this list, I gotta be honest, always kind of intimidated me. Investment clubs.
Oh, I get it. You picture those stuffy meetings, everyone in suits, talking big money.
Exactly. Like, way out of my league.
That's a misconception. There are clubs for every level. Beginners. Folks just getting started.
So it's more about learning, sharing knowledge than being a big shot already.
Totally. Finding mentors, bouncing ideas around. It's a community, really.
Okay, that makes me feel better. Now, auctions. Online and offline, our source material says.
Different beasts, those two. Online, it's all about data. You got to be fast, analyze those listings.
Yeah, I can see that being my jam. Numbers, trends, making quick decisions.
Right? Got to have a cool head, spot those opportunities before anyone else does. But live auctions, that's a different skill set. It's reading the room, the energy.
Like almost a performance, right? Projecting confidence, knowing when to bid, when to fold.
Exactly. Psychology comes into play. Gotta anticipate your competition.
So whether it's digital or in person, auctions are all about finding those undervalued properties.
That's the goal. Foreclosures, tax sales, situations where the seller's gotta move fast.
High stakes, high reward kind of thing.
You got it. All right, ready to move on to our next category.
Definitely. Lead the way. What else have we got?
Let's talk about those situations where distress equals opportunity.
Sounds a little ominous, doesn't it?
It can be, but it's also where some of the best deals are hiding.
Distress equals opportunity. Sounds kind of like a, I don't know, life lesson or something.
Well, it can be that too, I guess. But in real estate, it's about, well, finding those deals where someone's got to sell, maybe not on the best terms.
Not their ideal situation,
Right.
like a hardship sale or something.
Exactly. And while, of course, you got to be sensitive to that, it can be a win-win if done right.
Right. Helping them out of a tough spot. But I bet there's risks too, right? Like, what are we getting into?
For sure. Our source material mentions foreclosure listings. That's a big one.
Foreclosures, yeah. I know those can be good deals, but why exactly?
Well, the bank, they just want to get rid of the property. They're not emotional about it.
So they might take a lower price just to get it off their books.
Could be. But the risk is you don't always know what condition the place is in.
Ah, right. Could be hidden problems, repairs you didn't budget for.
Exactly. And foreclosures, they can get legally messy too. Liens, claims against the property.
So you really got to do your homework on these.
Absolutely. Lawyer up, make sure everything's legit before you jump in.
Now, probate leads. What even is that?
Probates, when someone dies, their estate gets settled. Sometimes there's property involved.
So the heirs might want to sell it fast,
Yeah.
right? To split the money or whatever.
Could be. Or maybe they just don't want the hassle of another house.
But like ethically, isn't that kind of, I don't know, preying on grief or something?
It can feel that way for sure. That's why sensitivity is key. You're dealing with folks going through a tough time.
Right. Got to approach it with respect, not just seeing dollar signs.
Exactly. And probate sales, they can take a while. Lots of paperwork, court stuff.
Patience is a virtue, huh?
Big time in this business. Now, our list mentions tax delinquent properties.
Oh, yeah. I think this ties back to driving for dollars, doesn't it?
It does. Those signs of distress we talked about, peeling paint, all that, could mean they're behind on taxes too.
So you can check public records, find those properties before they even hit the market.
Exactly. Get a head start, maybe approach the owner directly.
Smart move. So the takeaway here is distress. It's not always obvious, right? It's about the underlying story.
For sure. Financial trouble, life changes, all that can lead to motivated sellers.
All right, feeling like I'm getting the hang of this detective work.
You are. Now let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about partnering up.
Oh, teamwork makes the dream work, right? Especially in real estate, I've had.
For sure. It's a lot to handle solo. So our source material calls this partnering for success and sanity.
Love that subtitle. Who are we talking about here? Potential partners.
Well, first one might surprise you. Wholesalers. They're kind of like middlemen in a good way.
Middlemen, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, how does that work?
They find deals, put them under contract, then they find an investor like you to take it over.
So they're doing the legwork, the hunting part.
Exactly. They often have a knack for finding those off-market properties.
Sounds good to me. Saves me time. I can focus on other things.
But gotta be careful. You're trusting their judgment, their due diligence.
Right. Got to make sure they're legit. They know what they're doing.
And of course, they take a fee. Cuts into your profit.
Trade-offs, right. Every approach has them. Now, property management companies, aren't those just for landlords?
Mostly, yeah. But they can be valuable partners even when you're BOIing.
How so? I don't quite see the connection.
They're plugged into the market. They know rents. They know which areas are hot.
And they probably know landlords who are thinking of selling, right?
Bingo! Off-market opportunities again. Plus, they can give you insights on the rental market.
Good to know if you're planning to be a landlord yourself, right?
Absolutely. But gotta remember, their loyalties to their clients, the owners.
Right, they're not going to bend over backwards to help some random buyer.
True enough. Still, good folks to have in your network. Now, one that sounds kind of fun, bird dogs.
Bird dogs? Like what, they sniff out deals for you?
Kinda, yeah. They're like scouts, always on the lookout for properties that fit your criteria.
Driving around, browsing online, maybe just chatting with folks in the neighborhood.
Exactly. They spot something interesting, they pass it on to you, and if you buy it, they get a fee.
Win-win, right. They get paid, you get a lead you wouldn't have found yourself.
Can be. But key thing here, clear agreements. What are their responsibilities? How much do they get paid?
Right. Got to avoid those messy disputes down the line.
For sure. All right. Feeling overwhelmed yet?
A little bit, but in a good way. Like, I'm seeing all these possibilities I never considered before.
That's the point. Now, ready to get creative.
Always up for a challenge. What you got?
Our source material calls this getting creative, but staying legal.
Ooh, sounds a bit like we're bending the rules, but in a good way, I hope.
Of course, got to stay ethical, but sometimes you got to think outside the box. First up, FSBOs.
FSBOs, what's that stand for again?
For sale by owner. Folks selling their house themselves, no agent involved.
Ah, yeah, those signs. I always figured they just wanted to save on commission.
That's one reason. But sometimes it's more than that. They might be in a hurry to sell, need cash fast.
So they might be more flexible on price, more willing to negotiate?
Could be. But gotta be careful. Some folks are just unrealistic about what their house is worth.
Yeah. Gotta know your market, do your research, not get swept up in the excitement.
Exactly. Now, here's one that might sound boring, but trust me, it's gold.public records.
Public records. I'm picturing, like, mountains of paperwork, dusty old files.
I know, sounds thrilling, right? But those records, they're full of clues.
Clues about what?
Properties, owners, transactions, even legal stuff. If you know how to read them, you can spot opportunities.
Give me an example. I'm not quite seeing it.
Okay, say you're into flipping houses. You could look for pre-foreclosure notices in public records.
Pre-foreclosure, meaning they're behind on payments, could lose their house.
Right, so you get in early before it even goes to auction.
Approach the owner directly. Maybe they're desperate enough to sell at a discount.
Exactly. Or you could look for lis pendens filings. That means there's a lawsuit happening tied to the property.
Lawsuit. So like divorce, contractor disputes, that kind of thing.
Could be. And again, owner might want to sell fast, get out of that mess.
Wow, never thought of it that way. Public records are like a treasure trove of inside info.
They are. And it's all public. Anyone can access it. It's just knowing what to look for.
Okay, this is getting interesting. It's like real estate detective work, but with paperwork.
Totally. Now, one more here. Gotta tread carefully with this one. Eviction records.
Evictions, yeah. Ethically, that feels kind of iffy, doesn't it?
It can be. But the thing is, sometimes the landlord's the one who's hurting too.
You mean they're tired of dealing with bad tenants, the legal hassle, all that?
Exactly. They might be ready to sell, just get rid of the headache.
So you could come in, offer a fair price, help them out of that jam.
And you get a property maybe below market value that you can fix up, rent out, whatever your strategy is.
But got to be sensitive, right? Like you said, it's not about profiting off someone's misery.
Absolutely. It's about finding solutions that work for everyone.
Okay, so creative thinking, but with a conscience. Got it. What else we got to wrap this up?
Last bit here. Let's zoom out from those individual deals. Think long-term wealth building.
Okay, that's my kind of thinking. What's the source material got for us on that?
Well, REITs. You've probably heard of those, right?
REITs, yeah. Real estate investment trusts, I think. Honestly, not totally sure what they are.
It's a company that owns properties, but instead of buying a whole property, you buy shares.
Like stocks, almost, but tied to real estate.
Exactly. And there's different kinds. Some focus on apartments, some on commercial buildings.
So you got to pick one that matches your investment goals, your risk level.
Right. REITs can be good for diversification. You're not putting all your eggs in one basket.
And they can generate passive income, right?
Oh.
Dividends from the properties they own.
They can. But like any investment, do your research, understand the risks before jumping in.
Got it. Now, syndication. That one sounds more advanced, doesn't it?
It can be. It's basically a bunch of investors pool their money together, buy a bigger property.
Like teaming up to get into a deal you couldn't afford solo.
Exactly. Can be great for bigger projects, more complex stuff, but you're relying on the lead investor, the syndicator.
Got to make sure they know what they're doing, right? Could be a lot of money at stake.
Huge. Due diligence is key, as always.
Yeah.
Last one here, crowdfunding. That's the trendy one these days.
Crowdfunding, yeah. I see those ads all over the place.
Basically, it's like online syndication. You invest through a platform, smaller amounts of money.
So lower barrier to entry, maybe good for beginners who don't have a ton of cash yet?
Could be. But the risks are similar to syndication. Got to vet the platform, the project, the whole deal.
Right. Just because it's online, all slick and modern, doesn't mean it's a guaranteed win.
Exactly. Don't let FOMO, that fear of missing out, cloud your judgment.
Solid advice. Well, I gotta say, this deep dive has been an eye-opener. 50 ways to find deals. Who knew?
Right. It's overwhelming at first, but now you've got categories to think about, approaches to consider.
It's not about memorizing them all. It's about finding the ones that fit you.
Exactly. Your goals, your resources, your comfort level with risk.
And one thing we haven't even touched on, how to actually evaluate a deal, right?
Oh, that's a whole other deep dive. Maybe we'll tackle that another time.
Definitely. Gotta leave folks wanting more, right?
Always. But the biggest takeaway, I think, is the best deal is the one you understand.
I like that. It's not just about the numbers. It's about feeling confident, knowing what you're getting into.
Exactly. Our source material gave us the what. Now you got to find your own WHY.
Love it. Well, thanks for being our guide on this journey. I feel like I've leveled up my real estate knowledge for sure.
My pleasure. Happy deal hunting out there.